Prince Harry and Meghan Markle last night received the Ripple of Hope Awards from the Robert F. Kennedy Human Rights Center. However, are they more worthwhile of the Ripple of Hate Award? Hello everyone, welcome to Royal News Network. My name is Brittany and today we're going to be talking about some of what we saw and observed and heard when Prince Harry and Meghan Markle were in New York last night to accept the Ripple of Hope Award because, guys, they exude hope, joy, fulfillment to people all over the world, right? Right? Well, no, I don't think so. In fact, I feel like their brand is actually based around an incredible toxicity and really hatred and vengeance and disdain and rage and all these sorts of things that I feel like are very, very negative compared to what the Ripple of Hope is supposed to stand for. So today I'm going to go over 3 reasons why I feel like Harry and Meghan are just much more worthwhile of the Ripple of Hate Award. But if you guys haven't been here to Royal News Network before, like I said, my name is Brittany, and on this channel I provide compelling royal commentary on latest news and a little bit of gossip too. In addition, I'll be reviewing television shows and movies and sharing a bit about history as well. So if you guys want to subscribe, that would be great. In addition, I have a fashion channel called Royal Fashion News. I'm slightly behind on it because I've been traveling and there's obviously a lot of news going on in this space right now, but if you guys want to go check out that would be awesome. I'll put a link in the description down below. In addition, I have a trip to the UK coming up, so if you want to go to London or the Cotswolds with me, I would love to have you join. It'll be around Memorial Day. I'll put a link in the description box again down below so you guys can get some more details. I would love, love, love it to have you come. It would be so fun. I'm really looking forward to it. It'll be awesome, guys. And again, before we go over the Ripple of Hate Award, I do have to mention the breaking news that, of course, Prince Harry, he couldn't just go to Pearl Harbor to enjoy and remember those who lost their lives. No, he had to make a publicity stunt tour out of it. So apparently today, in honor of the 81st anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor, Prince Harry apparently went to the USS Arizona and visited around Memorial Day, so Veterans Day, November 11th. And now the photos have officially dropped. And this one in particular, I actually went on Archwell and found it and started blowing up on Twitter quite a bit, is just so aggravating that our industrial military complex, the Pacific Commander, would humor an ex-royal with nothing to do, but apparently go around to various military bases, beg to be given a little bit of a tour and saying he'll do photo ops and do a little bit of publicity. Yeah, like the USS Arizona needs publicity for people to visit it at Pearl Harbor. Give me a break. So this is just, I feel like, incredibly embarrassing for the United States military. I don't know why they're humoring this guy who has no country now, who has nothing to do except for try to make money so his wife can afford more Hermes blankets. So thank you, Prince Harry. You're doing Meghan Markle a favor and just making our U.S. military look stupid. And it was such a grand and over-the-top picture to share. I think that was incredibly dumb of Harry and Meghan, but everything Harry and Meghan do is dumb. And again, I feel like it is insulting to veterans of our country to post a picture like that because he is not a veteran here. He basically got to play video games in Afghanistan, so let's not say he was on the front lines or anything like that. So the whole thing is just a complete and utter joke and travesty, and I really wish they would have taken it down, not taken that picture, and that I really feel like, I know Harry's part of the Invictus Games, but he's also a liability for the Invictus Games because I went to the second one in Orlando, which I really enjoyed, and I wouldn't mind going back to the Invictus Games. I thought it was a lot of fun, but I cannot support it in the slightest as long as Harry and Meghan are still patrons. I know Harry is technically the patron, but there were a lot of rumors that Meghan got paid an appearance fee to go to the Invictus Games, and she spent $65,000 showing off her new wardrobe. So I'm so sorry, but I cannot support them. I cannot support the Invictus Games as long as they're attached to it. I just can't. So I feel incredibly sad about that, and I feel the United States military feels indebted to Harry. I understand that, but not participate in these sort of stunts. They don't do anything for the US military, for Harry, anybody. So just leave it alone. But back to the Ripple of Hope Awards. And to be fair, I will have to give credit to Meghan. I thought from the neck up, that's the best she's looked in a really long time. Some people were suggesting maybe she got new veneers, which I could kind of sort of see. She just looked very fresh, and I haven't seen her that look that good in quite a while, so it was just a bit surprising to see her that way. And obviously she was very, very excited to be there because her expression never ever changed. She just had the grin that would not go away. And as I was looking through the pictures and videos and trying to get some of the information from what they said at the event, I couldn't help but think that this is not really the Ripple of Hope Awards, because Harry and Meghan don't represent anything I feel like related to hope. They represent hate and division and just toxicity and drama and all these sorts of things. That's what Harry and Meghan represent. And here are just kind of 3 simple ways that we can really see that here. So number 1 is, I feel like there is a certain amount of hatred or disdain or just ambivalence, I guess you could say, between Harry and Meghan themselves, and particularly Meghan towards Harry. So why am I thinking about this? Okay, so number 1, how they get out of the car. Go ahead and watch this video and I'll see if you guys pick up on a couple of the things I did.
Move back. Step back. Stop.
Guys, stay. We don't want to be any closer.
No, I'm here. I'm here. Over here.
Harry, what do you think about destroying the royal family? Meghan, you destroyed the royal family.
Meghan, look this way. Meghan.
Meghan,
Okay, so number 1, Harry gets out of the car on the wrong side. So blood royals usually get out on the door closest to the wherever they're going. Generally, that's how it goes. We see this a lot with Catherine and William. Now, sometimes they do let the lady go in first because she's in heels. Maybe she's tired of being in the heels and she needs to get in the car. So William actually came out and went wide around the car to get in when they were leaving the Earthshot Prize. However, when they arrived, Catherine was in the far door. Catherine, at every engagement I saw them in, was in the far door. That means she was furthest from the door, because for security arrangements, if you are the blood royal, you are the higher risk target. So it makes sense for you to be closer to the door. Obviously, Harry and Meghan didn't do it that way. I understand they're not working members of the royal family anymore, but some of those stipulations should still apply because they've told us constantly they're in as much threat or greater threat than they were before, and that they need police protection, and the most stringent of police protection. They want their internationally protected person status back. And yet here they are really disregarding their own security arrangements. Because once Harry gets out, there's actually a man who goes to the door to hold the umbrella for Meghan. So in effect, the security person, Meghan would get out and he would hold the umbrella for her. Meghan would join Harry still under the umbrella and they would walk in together. But no, that's not what happened. Harry pushes the bodyguard away and then stands there like an nincompoop holding the umbrella for Meghan. Now, what does this do? It makes him a giant target. It makes him a giant target. It makes his security much weaker because he is doing that, because he is taking more time than he should. And we have been told by Harry and Meghan that because he was a military service member, he is still at a huge risk for basically terrorists, Al-Qaeda, something sort of attack. He is still there. He's still a target of them. So it just doesn't make a ton of sense for him to be standing there. And he did this as well during the walkabout in Windsor, where he had to actually help Meghan get into the car door. He shut the car door for her. Now, I get it. Some people are like, well, he's just being a gentleman. All gentlemen should hold the umbrella for their lady. Yeah, but the problem was she was walking so far ahead of him, grabbing onto him, that she actually even wasn't under the umbrella. So the argument really doesn't hold water, I don't think. In addition, like I said, she is barreling in front of him so quickly that she's not even under the umbrella, and she almost drags him into a police officer. So go ahead and take a watch at this video.
Meghan, you destroyed the royal family.
Meghan, look this way. Meghan.
All right, so she's basically, he has to make a maneuver to get away from the cop, and they even caught it in a picture. And it's like she had so little disregard for him that she was just barreling towards the door without really taking any time to see if he's okay, if he has the umbrella, if he needs to take the umbrella down. There was just no calmness to it. It was just this rush to get to the door. And I understand some of that is security, but it also didn't make a ton of sense either, because then they should have just perhaps gone separately to the door. Again, the whole thing is just so contrived. I feel like Harry there's certain PDA things he has to do that she demands of him, and that he does in order to keep her happy, because otherwise she'll get mad. And this was one of the things, and again, I feel like it put him at risk. It actually put her at risk. Also, she cannot get out of the car like a lady. Just putting that out there. I think there was a better way to get out of the car without flashing so much leg. And she just, again, barreled towards the door with little disregard for him. And when they went down the red carpet later, because they went in a side door, came back out, and then did down the red carpet, Harry looked to me miserable. And he told us the click of the cameras, it's like PTSD to him. And so what does Meghan do? Well, she drags him in front of a whole line of photographers so that they can all take his picture. And I feel like in most of the pictures, Harry didn't look happy. He looked miserable. His eyes weren't smiling. He was just like, he couldn't even show any teeth in his smile. So he's like, And we've seen him smile greatly. Even the pictures they've shared with us from their personal relationship, we can see him having this big grand old smile. And she has a smile on, the big grand old smile that her expression doesn't change the entire time. And we've had this problem a couple of times now where Meghan is grinning like an idiot and Harry looks like he'd rather be anywhere else. So they're like this, and they need to come down here. So Meghan needs to dial it down a notch, be a little bit more natural. And then Harry needs to perhaps dial up his exuberance. Now, apparently, according to someone, he was a bit more excited to go up on stage later, but it also just seemed like they were on completely separate pages in terms of their levels of enthusiasm for the event and what they were doing. And again, it's just things dragging Harry in front of these things, which I feel like is always what Meghan has wanted to do, really does make him incredibly uncomfortable, and just really, again, shows that she doesn't really have a high regard for her husband. And one little tidbit they gave us during their conversation up on stage is that apparently they don't go out much because, they have small kids. Not that they don't have a nanny and a grandma to help manage and handle the kids. No. Apparently they just don't go out at all. So take a listen here.
I actually thought we were just going on date night, so I found it quite weird that we're sharing the room with 1,500 people. But we don't get out much because our kids are so small and young, so this is completely unexpected. But it's nice to share date night with all of you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for bringing me on this very special date night.
You're welcome.
All right. I feel like that exchange was incredibly, incredibly awkward. And it's like, thank you for coming on our date night with us. It's like, okay, it wasn't even an anecdote, a funny one that really even made any sense. And I feel like, again, it's incredibly sad to think that maybe they sit around at home all day. They never leave. Their children never leave because, they might be caught by the paparazzi, or somebody might get their picture, and an unauthorized story might come out. So I really get the sense that they live very much this bunker mentality, which I don't feel like screams hope, because there's no reason for them to live in a bunker mentality. I think they live that because that's what Meghan demands, and that gives her the control that she wants. It's for them to live in this bubble. And I don't feel like a bubble is healthy for anyone. Some people do. Some people live out in the bush in Africa, or they're in very remote locations, and that is what happens. But they're living in California, and we've never seen them out really as a family of four. We did see them out for the 4th of July, where Archie was out with his dad, with his parents, but we don't know if Lily was there. So as far as we know, we've never ever seen them out as a family of four. I hope for the sake of their children they do go out. I really, really hope they do. But it's just hard to know because, unfortunately, there is no gentleman's agreement for their lives in the United States as there is in the UK. So in the UK, Catherine and William can go out with their children, and there's an agreement that the paparazzi will not take pictures. Now, some do and sell them elsewhere, but it's pretty rare. And so now when it comes to the royal family, obviously Harry and Meghan have a lot of hate and disdain for them, which I feel like, again, is the antithesis of the award they were supposed to get. So according to the Robert F. Kennedy Human Rights Center, the inspiration for the award was taken from this quote, which says, "Each time a person stands up for an ideal, or acts to improve the lot of others, or strikes out against injustice, they send forth a tiny ripple of hope, and crossing each other from a million different centers of energy and daring, those ripples build a current which can sweep down the mightiest walls of oppression." Well, Harry and Meghan, think, guys, they are pushing back against the oppression. They did not get to live in Frogmore House. They got to live in Frogmore Cottage. Ergo, they are now against oppression. That's basically their reasoning for a lot of what they've done, I feel like, is that they didn't get everything they wanted, and so they feel oppressed because of that. Now, they've cited the issue of racism. That's a big thing. They've cited against the royal family, but I feel like they're having a hard time justifying that, just as Carrie Kennedy was having a hard time justifying giving them this award. So go ahead and take a listen to her here try to desperately explain her reasoning for giving it to them, because it's shifted now from the oppression they supposedly felt from the royal family on the issue of race to Meghan's mental health. So take a listen here.
In the wake of COVID, there's been a massive spike. 25% of people around the globe have said that they have anxiety and massive depression. And for Meghan to get out there on national television and normalize a discussion of mental health at this point is incredibly important and very, very brave. And the issues around racial justice, incredibly important right now.
All right, and I don't want to bring down Meghan's supposed mental health issues. I just always thought it was somewhat convenient because she had her issue supposedly at the same time Diana did while she was pregnant with William, which was also her first child. So you have that Diana connection there. But when it's just looking generally at the royal family, how exactly were they oppressed? How exactly were they oppressed? Tell me. Because this is the reasoning Carrie initially gave for giving them this award. However, Meghan got the wedding that she wanted, the veil that she wanted, the tiara that, well, she maybe didn't get the tiara that she wanted, but she got a tiara. She got to wear Diana's aquamarine ring, which she debuted again this week as if to push back against Catherine debuting the emerald choker. And then she got the trips. She got to go in 3 or 4, at least 3 international trips on behalf of the British monarchy. She was the vice president of the Queen's Commonwealth Trust. She got a gorgeous home that was refurbished on the taxpayer's dime initially. She got money from the Duchy of Cornwall. She could wear Christian Dior, which she could never have afforded before. And so she got all these things. So explain to me why exactly you were oppressed. And I don't think they can do it. I think their big issue is that they couldn't be king and queen and that they had to live under a hierarchy, which of course that's how Harry's always lived. And everybody lives in a hierarchy. If you're in a classroom, there is a hierarchy. The teacher is the head. Maybe you have a head girl or boy, depending on if you go to a British private school. So there's always elements of authority that are in your life. And that's just life. And if you don't want to deal with that, yes, you can be perhaps independent, but you're still subject to the IRS, the US government. I mean, there's just things that you are always going to be subjected to. So this huge idea that they're fighting against this oppression from the royal family is just ludicrous. In addition, I feel like they very much have this vitriol for the royal family, in a large part because Harry has argued they didn't roll out the red carpet for Meghan. Well, what was their definition of red carpet? Because again, she is subject to the line of succession. She will not get everything she wants. They can't all bend over backwards just to please her. So I feel like Harry was just very frustrated that they didn't bend over backwards because he had to bend over backwards in order to please her. He was so enamored with her. He had to do everything in order to make everything had to be perfect to her perfect specifications in order for her to be happy and therefore Harry to be happy. So I feel like probably throughout their entire relationship, Harry has been utterly and completely focused on making her happy. But the thing is, if the things that Meghan wants to make herself happy are things that she won't necessarily get in every situation, ergo, she will always live with a certain bit of unhappiness. And that's just life. Life isn't perfect. You won't get everything you want. And so what do Harry and Meghan do? Just to twist the knife and even further is they're going to release a reality TV show tomorrow. And they're also going to release the memoir, which again will probably attack the royal family in so many ways, which I really feel like perpetuates this element of hatred and tension and drama, which did not exist in the royal family pre-Meghan. Did not exist, wasn't anywhere within the family system at all before Meghan entered the picture. And so I feel like this is just incredibly sad. So it's like, why would you give these people a award based around hope when all they seem to do is wallow in their victim status and despair that they didn't get their way? I feel like Kerry Kennedy will inevitably really come to hate her decision to give them this award, and maybe herself will rename it the Ripple of Hate Award in honor of Harry and Meghan. So again, why do Harry and Meghan deserve the Ripple of Hate Award? Well, I feel like they hate the peasants. They hate you and me. They hate people who question them, who ask them any sort of question about the royal family, the connections, everything like that. So we saw this when they were just arriving. Some guy shouted out at Harry and Meghan, hey, what about the royal family? So go ahead and take a listen here.
I'm here.
Harry, over here. Harry, what do you think about destroying the royal family? Meghan, you destroyed the royal family.
Meghan, look this way.
And they got this again when they were on the red carpet. Hey, are you making money off destroying your family? So go ahead and take a listen to this one.
Harry, do you have a message for your family? Are you harming your family, Harry?
Harry, are you putting money before family? Are you putting money before family?
And Harry, of course, he really doesn't have an answer. I think somebody mentioned that he just muttered under his breath a bit, so many questions. It's like, yeah, bud, people are going to question you. And I feel like they've created this delusion where people, they are these superior beings and nobody should question them. Us as the peasants, us as the people, we should never ever question what Harry and Meghan say, because they are always right, they are always correct, they are always accurate, and they are always looking for people's best interests at heart. So if you ever dare to question them, well, hey, how dare you? That's absolutely not what you should ever be doing. It's questioning the intelligence, the magnetism, and the success and the greatness of Harry and Meghan. What's interesting is that apparently, according to some inside sources, Harry and Meghan were maybe perhaps supposed to go to the VIP meet and greet, which people perhaps paid extra money for, and they didn't show up. And also, they only apparently interacted with the $1 million donors, because that's the only people Harry and Meghan that they can interact with. And then we also have that apparently when there's a video of them walking around the venue, and I thought it was really funny that everybody wanted to talk to Harry and were more interested in Harry. Nobody seemed that interested in Meghan. Now, somebody did try to take a sly picture of her and one of her assistants or something, whose job apparently was just stand behind them and monitor them, apparently had to go, oh no, you can't do that. And I somewhat get it, because it is rather invasive, but people are paying to be there to see you in part. So there is a quid pro quo, but I feel like Harry and Meghan just don't want to interact with any of the riffraff that they don't have to. They are superior to everyone. And I hate to say this as well, but we see this in Meghan's choice of fashion. So Meghan apparently thought she was going to the Oscars because she commissioned a custom-made Louis Vuitton dress. And I'm sure in the 5 figures, the good 5 figures, I imagine that dress cost at least between $5,000 and $10,000. And what's really funny is that Kerry Kennedy looked like she was going to just a random PR event in New York rather than hosting her own award ceremony. She had on this short dress. And so you just look at Meghan, who was so over the top. And you can just even see her disdain for this event, that she thought she was better than this event and that she wanted to be superior to it. And she did that by pulling out Diana's aquamarine ring, by commissioning Louis Vuitton for absolutely no reason to commission this very, very expensive dress, which I'm sure she could have found something like Catherine wore a Jenny Packham that she basically got off the rack to a diplomatic reception. But Meghan had to create a custom gown for this, which I'm sure again was not cheap. And I feel like, again, it just even shows she always just feels superior to people. And I feel like though Harry and Meghan, they want to quote unquote help people, I feel like their definition of help is very patronizing, and again shows their just disdain for people who they think are beneath them. So when it came to her supposed mental health issues, Meghan said, "When you've been through anything that's challenging, and everyone, especially in the past few years with lockdown and COVID, that spike in numbers of people having an experience they might not be voicing, we all need to, when we can, if we feel brave enough, to just speak honestly about your own experience," she says. "Look, I was really ashamed to say it at the time, and ashamed to have to admit it to Harry, especially because I know how much loss he has suffered. But I knew that if I didn't say it, then I would do it. I just didn't want to be alive anymore. And if my experience can help someone else not feel the same way, or to know that there's hope when it's worth every second of whatever comes with it," she said. Now, Meghan Markle was not dealing with the same situation that most people dealing with perhaps suicidal thoughts are considering. She is a princess living in a castle, and her issue was that the press was mean to her. That's not, and I'm sure she did feel somewhat isolated, but she also isolated herself. The British royal family is very welcoming, but you actually have to engage with them. You actually have to not walk into every room thinking you're better than they are. And I feel like that's what Meghan's attitude was. And so if she felt isolated, it was a self-isolation, because they've always told us, we saw this interestingly, I feel like, oh, I can't remember now where I read this, but that they cocooned themselves in the initial stages of their relationship, that they didn't let anybody know for months that they were even dating. And that creates a cocoon around you. So Harry and Meghan had already cocooned themselves. And so Meghan's getting mad at other people perhaps for not investing in her. And again, I feel like, how is a person who's dealing with severe depression supposed to connect with a woman who was living in a palace, had servants, had staff members and everything to help her? How are they supposed to connect their experiences to hers? I just don't even feel like that's there. And that she thinks people can find inspiration from that is just, again, shows you the level of delusion that we are dealing with. So guys, let me know what you think about Harry and Meghan's appearance. Do you think they deserve the Ripple of Hate Award rather than the Ripple of Hope Award? And fear not, I will be watching Harry and Meghan's reality TV show tonight, and I will get you guys a video on it first thing, trying to figure out whether I'll do like a recap video and then individual episode reviews or episode reviews. So guys, let me know what you think, and I look forward to seeing you again really, really soon. Bye.